Welcome, everyone, back to the Sporting Cast podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Red. For all you college basketball fans, make sure to tune in to this episode. For all you local Indianapolis fans, make sure to also tune in. We're talking to a guy that you may have seen from your couch on TV the last couple of weeks, rocking some UConn Husky gear. But before that, he's had a long implant in the game of basketball. His son, Braylon, was 2025 Mr. Basketball. He's also known for now one of the most iconic shots in college basketball NCAA Tournament history. He's got two other boys, Clay and Cole, off to Franklin College in the fall. But his basketball career started way back at Greenfield Central as well, and he played at IUPUI. He was part of the team that made the first NCAA tournament in school history, which we'll get into. Please welcome Josh Mullins. Josh, first off, thank you for joining. Appreciate it, especially from another IUPUI Jaguar. How's the last month been for you and your family?
It's been a little hectic, crazy. I don't know if there's a word you can put on it, but it's been fun too. So we enjoyed the moment. A lot of traveling, tired, but it was all worth it.
So when I see you on TV, the shot from Braylon, I know you've kind of talked about with other people. You're down 19 points. What are you feeling like? You've been in this situation. You've played college basketball. You've been in important games, which, again, we'll talk about, Matt Cranshaw's buzzer beater at some point. Have you prepared your sons for that type of moment, especially Braylon just playing in that game versus Duke?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't happy in the first half, maybe the first 5 to 8 minutes of the second half, but we just kept chipping at the lead. Basketball is a game of runs, whether you're in high school, college, or pro. What makes it easier in college and in the pros is there's a shot clock, which changes possessions for you and helps you. So I never really thought we were out of the game, but when you get down by 19 to Duke, it's tough. So, but we kept chipping, and and then the end happened, and it's an amazing feeling.
So when you see the play breaking down, you're also, former player, a coach. What's your reaction watching, the Boozer boys kind of just throwing the ball around? Are you kind of coaching in that? Do you catch yourself coaching that moment, or are you a fan/dad still in that moment?
Well, it was all the above. Player, coach, dad. I'm like, damn, foul. And they're like, then you're like, oh, get a steal or something. Since they weren't fouling right off the bat, I'm like, get a steal, get a deflection or something. I couldn't believe that happened. I was like, oh my God, we got the ball. Then when they let Bray walk into the shot, I was like, oh, yeah, that's trouble. You can't just let him walk into a shot.
No, well, it's funny that you say that. So I was at the UConn Butler game earlier this year. Shout out to one of my former coaches has season tickets to Butler. So here I am sitting in the first row. Got a good look at Braylon. Just, his jump shot, which again runs in the family, we'll get into. But to me, it looked, I sat on the couch with my wife. It was good as soon as it left his hands. I know that's an easy thing to say now, but did you kind of feel that way, or was it more of, we'll see what happens?
Well, I was, when he just walked in and shot, I'm like, that's good. And then I kept track of the ball, and I'm like, oh, that's really got a chance. That's really good. And I just, it was just on. You just seen it. You can tell when a guy shoots, oh, that's going to be short, that's too high. And it just kept tracking, and then what I mean by tracking is it just right straight to the hoop. It just looked good. It just looked like a regular shot for him. But that's something we've done, since he was little, was, shoot shots that were a little deeper than others, just to, have another element or another, package parted to your game. When he shot it, I was like, man, that's good.
How was the Final Four being in Indianapolis for you? What was the experience like just for the family growing up in this area and you playing here at college too?
Well, that's what made it kind of ironic, right? I played here and then Braylon brings us back here. But I will say, Indianapolis does a great job of hosting. They just, everything's together. You got restaurants, bars, hotels, you name it is there. And I think just that, I've been to a couple other Final Fours and it's spread out, but Indy, it was awesome, man. Every day they wanted me and my wife Katie to come and talk on something. Hey, you guys are from here, can you come get on the podcast, can you get on the show? But they treat us really well, but I'm from here, played here, so a lot of people know me anyway. So then the national media part, that was different, that was fun. So it was just a good experience and just fell a little short.
So it's funny because my brother and I were at the game, and as we're actually walking in line at Lucas Oil, you were about 10, 20 people in front of me, but I was like, I don't want to distract this guy. He's got arguably the biggest game from a fandom. And, you know, you kind of had a little pop to your step. You know, yeah, the UConn Husky windbreaker on. Your boys are kind of following you. You were leading the charge. What's kind of the, you know, the pregame for your boys as opposed to when you were playing? Are you more nervous now?
I mean, a little bit. Like, I guess more games I go to, it's not as bad. I mean, I knew how good UConn was, and I feel like in every game they have a chance. Like, you know, I don't, you know, Michigan's really good. Obviously, you know, they won't, you know, they were the best team all year. You know, and then our region was, you know, it was brutal. With the teams that are in it. So like early in the season, I think I was a little nervous, just because I didn't know what to expect from Bray and the team. And then like as it went on, I was just confident every time they went on the court. You know, and I don't, you know, the ritual, I always go in an hour before the game starts, or try to be. We never watched the send off at the hotel. I never watched one because I felt like they were winning, so I don't want to watch one. I figure if I watch one, they might lose. So, but you know, we like to get in there an hour, get to our seats. You know, and then when the boys go with us, when the twins go with us, it's the same. I tell them, like, why are we going so early? I was like, this is what I do. If you don't want to go, stay at the hotel. So.
Hey, I don't blame it. You got to stick to what works. And that's another thing I want to ask, you know, not too much drama. I saw on your Instagram story a couple of days ago, the shirt that didn't arrive in time. Have you gotten the shirt yet? You know, I think you made the joke that you firmly believe this is the reason they lost the game. Is that true?
No, that was a fan or a person.
Oh, that was a fan. Okay, I thought that was you. I said, man, this new shirt's serious.
No, Flam Magazine actually gave us shirts. So we had them, but I wear his jersey all the time. So she wears whatever UConn sweatshirt. It's just what we do when we go to games. But like we wore that to the open practice on Friday, the Slam shirt, which was pretty cool. But yeah, no, that was a fan that didn't get it. So,
okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
So I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to. So, like, it is what it is. You know, things happen for a reason. You know, we played our butts off, and it just didn't happen.
So Dan Hurley, you know, a polarizing figure in college basketball. I think he's good for the sport. You know, I feel like he's kind of the media, I wouldn't say pin him against others, but, you know, he's a center of attention. For you, watching, you know, what Braylon did this year and how not only him, but all the players support him, what are your thoughts on him just from like a parent and helping in that recruiting status and coaching your kid?
Nah, man, he's a great person. You know, we all know he's a great coach, but he's a great person. Like, yeah, is he animated and does things? Yeah, it's just who he is, man. I think that's how he gets his energy out. And you know, and obviously sometimes on national, you know, media or attention that he gets, I don't know. I think people can get the wrong perception of the guy. If you actually talk to him, I think people would understand. I think people have a lot more respect for him after that game. Like sometimes you gotta lose with humility. We just what happened, you know, and he's congratulated Michigan and Coach May. But he's a really, really special person, man. Like he gets the most out of his players, really hard on them in practice, but also loves them. Like, hey, I'm gonna call you to my office to talk to you. Hey, that, you know, practice isn't personal. Like it's me just trying to get you better. And I think most of the kids respect that, you know. And if you see, like, we don't have a lot of kids that go in the portal ever since he's been there. Like you might have a few, but you know, most guys stay. So they either love that stuff or addicted to it or something. I don't know. But you know, he's a great person, man. He coaches them hard. He loves them hard. I wouldn't have sent my kid there if I thought he was anything different. So.
Well, it's funny. So, you know, that high energy that you talk about. So I started my Final Four festivities on Friday afternoon. May have been at a bar across the street from the old Prime 47, getting a couple drinks in. And because you guys were the team was having dinner there. And he comes off the bus, and I don't know if you were there. I didn't really look too hard, but I'm just watching out the window. This dude sprints off the bus as if he's going to game day. And I'm like, dude, you're going to eat dinner. And he's like, he's like clapping, like, woo! Like, so it's funny kind of watching that. And I'm like, you know, he clearly is just this high energy guy at all times. And the boys get off the bus and, you know, they're just kind of, it's your typical 18 to 22-year-old, you know, shuffle. So it was funny to just kind of the energy that he brings. I don't think it's for the games only. I think that's just to your point, who he is. No, another thing I want to talk about, your boys, Clay and Cole. How did they manage just this season from watching Braylon, but then also succeeding in what they did. I think I read they were the winningest class at their high school's history. Clay was all-state, averaging 15 points a game, and Cole averaged 10 points a game, and both were shooters like their older brother and dad.
Yeah, I mean, I think like they had a tough path to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether they say those are my kids, you got to follow me, but then you got to follow Bray. And I thought this year, we were 12-12 this year. We had played, a decent schedule. I think when we first got the schedule, I thought that, we could win 16 games. And I still believe they could have. Like they dropped some games. And I always told them, like, you guys play good 3 quarters or 3.5 quarters. You need to get your team to figure out how to play 4. And I think, for them, not getting a chance and then finally getting their chance to play and show what they could do this year. I thought it was a great year. Hell, Mount Vernon won the whole thing, and we had them within 7 in the sectional championship. But we could just never get that stop, or we had 3 opportunities to score and we didn't. And I'm like, man, if you guys score there, it's a different game. Maybe they get tight. But they had a really good year. I told them to keep playing because you'll regret it if you don't. I said Franklin's giving you an opportunity, and you guys got to go make the best of it. So, like, you never know what can happen. You could play year 1, 2, and transfer. That's just how the portal thing works now. So, if you have a couple good years, you could be somewhere else. I don't know. Or you stay there for 4 years and play and have fun. I don't know. But it's your path now. You've got to take it and make the best of it. So, my wife and I have created a path. You just got to keep going with it. So.
No, I kind of want to take a little deeper dive into that. When the big brother dynamic, right? And not just big brother, but older siblings. Advice for parents that maybe, it doesn't necessarily even need to be the oldest kid, but, you have this son or daughter that is very successful in not just sports and whatever they're doing, and they're getting that, the social media following. How do you not put that pressure on those kids to do exactly what they're doing, and they're still going out to achieve their goals and their dreams of playing basketball. But, you also have to remind these kids, like, hey, you don't need to be exactly like him. Choose your own path, like you said. What's your advice to other parents, maybe in those situations?
I mean, like I said, each kid's different. Like even the twins, each one of them are different. Braylon's different. So maybe your workouts are different. Hell, I don't know. But like, you just got to keep them in a positive mindset of like, hey, you can make it too. But you have to want to make it too. You can't say, well, that's my brother, I can't live up to that. No, you can do what you do. You live up to who you are. And that's kind of what I try to do with them. And, I told him, I was like, it kind of sucks the last year and a half. We were doing stuff with Braylon because of the recruiting or on his All-American game. Like there was just a lot in it. Moving him out to UConn. So I said, yeah, you guys kind of got, looked over a little bit, but I always come when I get back home from wherever I'm at, I'm always on. I'm like, hey, what'd you guys do today? Like, I said, I can't hold your hand all the time. So like, what are you guys doing? Like, so you have a key to the gym, so go. Like, and then if you need me there later, I'll come in and we'll do whatever workout we need to do. But like, I don't know, you got multiple kids and they're each different and they just got to take their path and run with it and just be positive with them. And I always try to just keep them going. Like I'm sure they were like, man, I don't even really want to play no more because of just the stuff they seen with Braylon, and it was going to be hard to live to that. But I'm like, just go play because 2 years you'll regret that. So like, I don't care if it's D3, D2, or NAIA or wherever. Go play. Like, give yourself an opportunity because those lead to connections, avenues to jobs. I don't think people understand that. Is that it doesn't have to say you're going overseas or going to the NBA. You could literally go somewhere and play and someone loved you for 4 years that owns a company, owns a business, and you're working for them after you get out of school and you got a really good job. And I don't know, the connections I think to sports, I don't know.
They're unmatched. They're unmatched. So, I mean, that's it. The funny thing was, a day before that CBS thing came out, I said, oh, I saw you played at IUPUI, and next day, and I said, well, that IUP, again, it's small, obviously, shout out Instagram, social media, but I feel like the IUPUI connection made it worth the time. So no, I totally agree with that, and keep making those connections, like you said, for all those future athletes listening today. So I do want to talk about your basketball career because, Dad's still the best one when it comes to, probably knockout in the driveway or whatnot. you shot 37% from three as a junior. You shot 45% from three as a senior. You went from 9 points a game to 12 points a game. Seemed like your rebounds and assist numbers were pretty similar throughout, but how did you become a better shooter from your junior to senior year?
Well, to be honest with you, when I first came in to college in general, I was just an athlete that could dunk, and I thought I could just jump over everybody until you get to that level, and there's 6'11", 7 foot waiting down there, and it's not as easy. So I really had to, like, I was a streaky shooter in high school, and then I really had to like work on my 3-point shot in mid range shot because you're dealing with those bigs down low, and you got to, so I was like, well, I'm gonna have to do something different. Plus, everybody in our conference played zone, some sort of zone. So you're just like, well, I got to be able to shoot, and I got to be able to shoot deep. So that was just something I worked on. But and then my kids they're like, you only average 12. Yeah, averaging 12 at Division I is hard.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I'm like, and now Braylon understands it. Now Braylon is at a higher level than me. Hell, he probably would average 22 or something, 23 at IUPUI. But and no disrespect to them, it's
just different conferences. Yep, level competition. I get it.
Levels are different. But I was like, averaging 12 points is hard, guys. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't think people truly understand that. But just the shooting thing was something I always concentrated on, toward the end of my career. And it's just something I made them do since they were like 5 years old. So I was like, shooting's a great equalizer to any defense.
Mm-hmm.
If you can shoot, I don't know there's any defense, especially if you get hot. There's not a defense that can shut you down now. Back in the day when you had the defensive stoppers, but like I think guys work too hard offensively now to be shut down.
So what's your biggest kind of pet peeve with the game now versus the game back then, right? Like you said, like there's a lot of creative ways to score the basketball, but I'd say it's more isolation based now. Maybe not at the college level, but the higher levels. Is there anything that when you watch it now is different from when you were playing?
Yeah, obviously the 3-pointers changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did we shoot threes? Yes, but it was like now it's just like they shoot a shit ton of threes, and that's just how the game's changed. And I think like Steph Curry's probably changed that.
Mm-hmm.
When he came in, and they're like, oh, these are threes, and then the way he shoots the threes. So like I think that's just changed now. That's what kids and trainers work on. And I don't know how much you watch Bray, but I always told them like analytically they're going to tell you this sucks, but your mid-range game, work on it. And it's something that he did all year long. And he shot I think he was like top 3 in 2-point percentage at like 62% this year. And it was mainly mid-range jumpers. So I was like, analytically, they're going to tell you that sucks. But that's something I watched. I said, if you ever go back and watch Kobe and Mike, where did they shoot from?
They love that old mid-range post up.
I get it. They're Kobe and Mike. I totally understand that, but that was like the fadeaways, the 2-point shots. Like if you can hit that consistently, and no coach say anything to you. So like now, if you're missing, they're going to tell you, hey, dunks or threes. That's just what's going to happen. But I think that's something that if you can have a lot of stuff into your bag, where you're just a 3-level scorer, I think that makes it hard to guard. If you're just a 3-point shooter, I can run you off the line, make you pass, give it up. But yeah, that's. Obviously, you've seen it, the last 20 years, it's the 3-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed everything. So,
well, it's funny that you talk about Braylon a little bit, especially just watching him, live a couple times as well. To me, his most underrated thing about him is he can run around an offense without the ball, for a freshman especially, better than a lot of people. And I'm not just saying that because you're on here. The way he moves without the ball is very impressive to me. And something he must have gotten from your dad is he's got some very sneaky hops. He was crashing the boards. He was crashing the boards a lot, in the championship game, but even at that Butler game, I know he had to put back as well. What do you kind of emphasize to him and your other boys of just moving without the ball and other, younger guys listening on this show? Because I think that's things kids struggle with, that they don't move without the ball a lot.
Well, don't make yourself easy to guard. Mm-hmm. Braylon can change the game and doesn't even need the ball. And I don't think people understand that. Could he have averaged 20 at UConn? Probably. But that's not what they do. Like, their roles are different. Mm-hmm. Like, he's specific. Like, they're playing team basketball. He wants 5 to 6 guys that average 10 to 15. That's just what a coach does. The people are like, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that. Well, he's not asked to do that. Like, Yeah, would I wish he had the ball in his hands a little bit more? Yeah, but I mean that's just something they don't, they don't really do now. They let him pass the ball, but like, making entry passes into the post to Terrace because he's 6'6" and can see over the defense. But like moving without the ball, like if you ever watch, he doesn't even need it. So when you see, and I'm not saying these guys can't do it too, but Braylon doesn't get tired off that.
No.
But like when Alex Airband or Solo score, Braylon's done cut through 2 times, and then boom, they're open. So if you cut without the basketball, ball movement or body movement kills a defense almost more than ball movement does. And I don't think people truly understand even what that means. But like I always tell people, like they want to run to the corner, run to the wing, and stop. Well, what if I cut through and that guy had to shift, and then this other guy rolls in behind him, and boom, they get a three. Like they don't understand that part of the game. But that was just something I told him. I was like, if you add other things in there that kids don't do, well, then they're not going to guard you the same. So you might grab a rebound, put back, or, you're moving without the ball and they've got it, 2 guys got to guard you and leaves another guy open. That's just something we've always preached, when he was younger. And I think that's the best thing about him is he cuts, and I think when you cut 90% of the time, you're going to make the defense react, whether you get it or not. I don't know.
No, that's good stuff. Another thing, just like his daddy averaged 12 points a game, shot 33% from three. But for you, back at IUPUI, you guys made the tournament for the first time in school history. What was that experience like? I know did I read correctly that there may have been a turnover right before Crenshaw's buzzer beater?
It was mine.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So looking back at that,
being slick with it. Yeah, I was. Instead of getting trapped, I tried to split it, and it didn't happen. They turned it over, and then they hit a shot, and then Crenshaw came down and hit it. But yeah, no, that was like one of my best games. I think I had 20 that game, the championship game, but they had a crucial turnover at the end. I'm like, oh man, this ain't gonna go well if we lose this. And I have 20, but lose it at the end when I could have just got fouled. So.
What was that experience playing at IUPUI like, and just making the tournament, especially representing a school for their first time in school history?
Well, I mean, like they still haven't been back, so we're still considered like, I still walk around and like we're still the only team that made it ever from there. And people still talk about it, and there's also the us getting there was, I told Braylon the other day, I was like, us getting there was like you playing in the Final Four, because
I would agree.
That's how that experience is for a mid-major that's a 16 that probably is 98.7% that you're not going on. So that is your Final Four, that is your highlight. And the experience was awesome. The gifts the NCAA gives you, like I don't know, they gave us a chair, and they gave us a lot of things. So there's a lot of stuff in your room that they give you. But yeah, the experience. We went to Nashville, Tennessee to play Kentucky, but I don't know. I don't know that I could another experience that would be that would live up to that one, other than watching him playing in the Final Four, which is pretty awesome.
Nice. Well, that takes me in kind of our last segment. I was going to say a couple rapid fire questions I got from a couple of our fans. So it sounds like your favorite memory is playing in the tournament. Next question for you. Who is your favorite player to watch on UConn other than Braylon this year?
I mean, shoot, that's hard. Because that's
all of them.
All, Silas, AK, Solo, and Terrace, and even the guys. I have a lot of respect for the guys that come off the bench that give energy. I love that. Like Jay Ross and Jay Stu, Malachi, and Eric. Because like maybe you're not getting the most playing time, right? And those guys come in and bring the energy off the bench to keep it going for us. So if we're ever like in a funk or we're just like, we're just out here right now, those guys come in and give a different energy because that's their role. And then that's how they stick on the course. So, those bench guys that come in, man, all 4 of them, Ross, Stu, Malachi, and Eric were unbelievable all year long.
I figured, honorable mention to our boy Millinder, a former Jag for a year or two as well. So he always had the energy
Great hype guy, man. And an unbelievable teammate. Like Braylon loved him. He's the funniest dude I've ever seen.
He was good at IUPUI. I know he averaged like 10 points a game, shot 8%. Just obviously a very talented team he's on this year. Next question for you. You've been around Greenfield Central High. You've been around IUPUI, India for a long time. What's your favorite place to eat in downtown Indianapolis?
I mean, probably St. Elmo's. We went there Thursday night.
Yeah.
When I don't ever really, I go down to Indy, just not like I used to downtown. I'm always in like Fisher's area, going to one of those, up there on the north side. And if El Emporium was in downtown Indy, I'd be there all the time.
Oh,
That's my favorite restaurant.
listen,
So,
our decision is Ale Emporium on the north side or Ale Emporium in Greenwood. It kind of depends on the weekend. So I'll look out for you on the north side.
Bray's coming home next week. It's his birthday. We're going to sit down, talk about the next steps. So I'm trying to get him to go to El Emporium. I'm like, hey, I know it's your birthday, but how about pick ale?
Yeah, no, I mean, I know Dave Portnoy just did one of his little pizza reviews there this past week, but I'll have to look out for you next time I'm there. I go there a decent amount too. Yeah.
I think we might end up going there Friday or Saturday, man, just to hang out and have fun and figure out what he wants to do. But we're really going there to celebrate his birthday. So
Good.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. Good luck on the next steps for him. I don't want to get too much in that. I know that's him. So, last question for you. When you reflect on being a dad and versus a coach, what's the biggest thing you try to keep separated between those two things?
Well, I think early on, like his freshman, sophomore year, I didn't separate it of being dad and, just telling him I love him and all that stuff. And it's hard because you feel like you're always like trying to get a point across to him of, basketball standpoint. And you feel like you're yelling and arguing all the time. And you guys, we don't like each other because we were yelling at each other. And that was the hardest part. And then later it was kind of just giving some pointers and some tips, but me, just be more of a supportive later. Listen, I'm a competitor to the walls. I mean, I am, and it's hard for me to shut it off sometimes. And I know other parents are the same, and I feel like sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too. So like of just hammering your kid after games, because you want them to be the best, and
Version of
but they make
themselves.
mistakes. You make mistakes, right? They're young kids; they all make mistakes, and you got to try to separate that. But you also, when they were younger, I put discipline and structure into them, and want them to follow a certain and do things a certain way, but sometimes you got to shut that off, and just be dad and be supportive. And I think if you do that, the kids will love it a little bit more, and then they're not going home and then going to practice and getting the same thing from a coach and a dad and a mom, being ripped all the time.
No, I get that. And then kind of the last question tied up with the podcast theme, supporting cast. Obviously, you and your wife have been a good supporting cast for your kids. Who's been a good supporting cast for you from the fact of, your basketball career up, growing up, and maybe not now as much, but who made a big impact in your career?
I mean, I don't know that there's one person, where there's my mom or dad or whatever. I mean, or my family of any, just it was like everybody, man. Like, but back in the day, I didn't, like now, like kids go and because sometimes they got to be pulled there, right? Like by dad or a trainer or a coach. Like I would go to the park for 10 hours a day. They didn't believe me. They're like, no, you did. I'm like, yeah, I'd go at like noon and come home at 10 p.m. Till they told me I had to leave. But I just love playing, and hell, that's probably why, like, my feet are bad, but playing on concrete. But I would go all day, every day, and play. And I don't know that I really had one person. I feel like it was just a lot of people. Like, my friends that played with me, my mom and my dad, and my cousins, and whoever, my ex coaches, and feel like there's just I don't know, there's their community people. There's just let it happen, and just playing all the time. Like, I don't know, man. I wish these kids would play more.
They're on their phones.
Yeah, get in the open gym park feel, because, when everybody says it takes a village, it does. Because, there's people out there that can take you one way when you really need to be going the other, whether that's a friend or whoever, I don't know. But I always stuck with the people that wanted to play basketball. That was just, I love sports, but I love basketball. And I was like, no, I need to hang with these people because they always want to play basketball. And that's what I wanted to do. I'm addicted to it. Still am, so I, I don't know. I can't just say there was one person, but, I feel like there's just a whole lot of people. And, that's maybe why I'm so connected in the basketball world, is just all those people that I've grown up with my whole life. So.
No, that's awesome. Josh, thank you very much for coming on, kind of reminiscing about the last month or so, talking about your career. Appreciate you representing the Jags back when I was a little one, before I was even really a Jags fan. But maybe I'll have to take the wife on a little dinner date to get some live music in at the El Emporium next weekend. But appreciate you coming on, kind of sharing your story and your family story. Best of luck for you and your boys for whatever that future may hold, and we'll stay in touch at some point.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Don't forget about that picture.
Oh yeah, that picture's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't want to bring it back up before we recorded, but yeah, maybe we can get a couple more of those pictures. Maybe in a year or two, whenever he decides, we're holding up a picture next to Silver and maybe a flat bill hat or something. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Josh, appreciate it, man, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate you having me on. Take care.
Yep, bye.